Honorable Minister, distinguished guests. First, I would like to start with expression of gratitude to Front Communication for inviting me here today. It's a great pleasure and honor to be in Beirut. This is one of the places I cannot say no. As the Qatari minister this morning said, I'm going to repeat his saying. When I became the president of the International Association for Energy Economics, my first trip was to Beirut. And this is also my passionate, I'm being passionate about this country and region because my grandfather is from Beirut. During the time of the war, he moved to Turkey. And with this passion, I'm here today with great pleasure and noticing the awareness here on oil and gas playing an important role for the future of Lebanon. I would like to start my talk with the situation in North America. We've heard from several speakers earlier today about the shale revolution. Now see, the United States currently exports petroleum products and coal and imports natural gas and crude oil. And the balance between imports and exports is expected to be reached within the coming years. So you see the forecast of the Energy Information Administration, the exact timing depending on technology, economic growth, resource availability, but gas exports, U.S. is expected to be a net exporter of natural gas this year, 2017. And this is due to the shale revolution taking place, huge discoveries of shale gas and tight oil, especially lower 48 states. The OPEC response to oil competition was to increase production actually in 2014, attempting to flood the market with prices. And accordingly, the basic rule of supply and demand balance should work and rule out the North American suppliers, but it did not work well because the U.S. response to the OPEC flood was to decrease cost, increase efficiency, and significant decline in costs. The rig count declined significantly as well, but with a huge increase in productivity, and here you see the major shale plays, productivity improvements 200–300% through longer laterals, multilaterals, increased drilling efficiency, more clusters. So accordingly, U.S. exports of crude oil and natural gas increased worldwide. So this is a geopolitical game changer. Geopolitical game changer number one, and with the lifting of the U.S. crude oil export ban December 2015, you see the variety of regions and countries coming in there for oil as well as for gas. So this year, last year, 2016, the first U.S. LNG export went to South America, Brazil, and then the first shipment to Europe came in, to Spain, Iberia, and even the U.S. shipped gas to the Middle East. So U.S. is now a major player. So when we come to this region to this part of the world, southeastern Europe, particularly southeastern Europe, demand is increasing. There are various high-cost countries as well as several non-EU countries with low demand where infrastructure and gas demand is expected to increase more rapidly than the rest of Europe. Now, southeastern Europe is majorly met by Russian gas, the demand in southeastern Europe. And we have the Nord Stream project bringing gas to Germany and the pipelines via Ukraine. Now, South Stream was a project bringing gas from Russia to Bulgaria, has been diverted to Turkey, so becoming the Turkish Stream because of the European legislation, so as to not being able to comply with the third energy package. Then in 2015, Gazprom also signed an agreement with Germany on the Nord Stream, on the second Nord Stream project. Now, the second Nord Stream project became one of Europe's most controversial energy projects. 8 EU governments actually signed a letter objecting to Nord Stream, and 2 days later the Gazprom board member made an announcement coming back to the Turkish Stream again. So it looks like the Nord Stream, second Nord Stream, and Turkish Stream are a bit substitute project. Now, the Turkish Stream project was introduced first as a 63 BCM project. Then the capacity was reduced to half. It's a huge project to supply both Turkish needs and European needs. Actually, the latest situation is 15.75 BCM pipeline coming to Turkey, and another 15.75 second pipeline flowing in to Europe. Now, the historical background of the Turkish Stream, you see all these geopolitical games, and the Turkish-Russia relations actually became very bad, especially after the downing of the Russian airplane, and then all this uncertainty, political uncertainty in Turkey, slowing down communication. Talks got suspended. Turkey took Russia to arbitration. But then in August last year, in Istanbul, the intergovernmental agreement was signed. In August, President Erdogan and Putin met, and in October, the intergovernmental agreement was signed, and it then got ratified by both countries. So we have no doubt that the Turkish Stream now is online with its 2 lines, with its 2 strings. Then we have the gas from the Caspian, the South Caucasus pipeline, Trans-Anatolia pipeline, and then the part that brings it to Europe, the Trans-Adriatic pipeline project. So this brings diversity to European markets and competition, which is good. The third other possibility is Eastern Mediterranean. Now, we had this slide from my preceding speaker, and let me focus on the essence here. I agree with most of what the preceding speaker said, but there are some issues that need to be corrected. Dr. Terzian said that political reasons hinder building a pipeline to Turkey, which is not correct. International law does not require taking permission from the Cyprus government. I've been in touch with the Israeli parts as well as with the Turkish parts, and if we come back here to this, the case of Leviathan historical background, it's October 2016 that Israeli and Turkish energy ministers meet discussing to build a pipeline from Leviathan to Turkey. So Leviathan field is the one that's going to be developed next, before the Zohr field, actually, and Noble Energy and partners have decided to move ahead with the Leviathan project. This is very new, February 2017. Now, there are 3 options for the Leviathan field. And I mean, it's going to bring gas to Israel, for sure, online. But to bring gas to Europe, because it's a huge field, it's much more what Israel needs. So to bring gas for Europe, there are 3 options. 1, to go directly to Greece. 2nd, to go via Cyprus to Greece. 3rd, to go via Turkey. Now, this has all been calculated, discussed. It's economically not feasible to take the other routes. That's why it's going to come to Turkey. That's why the Turkish and Israeli energy ministers have met and decided to go ahead with this pipeline. So economics is important, especially now in this term under relatively low oil and gas prices. So we have seen after the last OPEC and Russia agreement a little increase in prices, but somehow they're going to stabilize. We will never see that three-digit level oil prices again in near future because we have so much oil and gas reserves everywhere. Now, so actually, we see from the Turkish experience, Russia, Turkey, Israel, Turkey, that energy, that these gas discoveries are being a motivator for peace, not for war. So this is very, very promising. And I think also the Lebanese potential discoveries. And the Leviathan basin, the Levant Basin, I mean, the U.S. Geological Survey estimates 122 TCF, which is about 3,500 BCM, so in total. I mean, if you think of it, 1,000 BCM has been discovered in Israel, so at least 1,000 BCM, I would agree with the previous speakers, would be expected offshore Lebanon. So this potential gas discovery offshore Lebanon can improve relationships in the Middle East, as it did like Turkey, Russia, Turkey, Israel. Actually, the whole thing can also improve the situation in Cyprus. And also the Turkish-Greek relationships, because all the Russian gas and the Caspian gas and all other gas, Iraqi gas maybe, and Eastern Mediterranean gas, if this all comes through Turkey, and this is the most economical route, it's a reality, it's going to go to the Turkish-Greek border. So this would also bring Turkish-Greek relationships to a better point. That's my expectation. It could theoretically also bring a solution to the Cyprus problem, and it could also help turning the island into an energy hub. So the first licensing round offshore Lebanon is just in time. We know that Leviathan gas is coming online, and if you look at here the previous in November 2016, actually, Israel launches its first offshore licensing round. So Lebanon acted just in time with its first licensing round, and I think it's most promising development for the future. Another thing I'd like to note is rivalry between Egypt and Turkey. I don't think economically there would be much of a rivalry because LNG typically would be a more expensive option. It's all about the economics. Whoever brings cheaper gas sells its gas. It's all about markets. So if you can supply, come back from the Zohr field, come to Egypt, gasify, liquefy the gas, ship with ships to Europe, regasify at a cost lower than what you bring with Leviathan or other fields in the region or offshore Lebanon, where you have pipelines to Europe, then it's going to be good, then it's going to be competitive. Otherwise, it's going to be it's going to not have a market. So my thinking is that the pipeline option, due to economies of scale, we're talking about huge quantities and distances that are affordable. The Turkish option is the most viable option economically. That's why it has improved all these relationships, and I hope it's going to improve all the relationships in the Middle East as well. That's all for my talk. Thank you very much. So what's coming up? My last word, we don't know yet. We're going to see, but we are it's an exciting, dynamic time.